sometimes being at the right place at the right time is all it takes to gain recognition. In the Air Force, pilots are highly revered and respected, especially by enlisted folks like me, not only because they've been to college and their jobs are usually way cooler than ours, but because they're officers, which means that they're basically our bosses. I've been in the Air Force for a little over 3 years now, and I'm still nervous around them. My job as an avionics technician is to maintain everything in the cockpit that the pilot sees or touches. So think of like the big giant switch panel above their head, or all the displays in front of them under the windshield there. One day when I was still fairly new, I was voluntold to go ride with one of our jets out of Rickenbacker Air Force Base in Columbus down to Tinker in Oklahoma, which at first sounded pretty cool and I was all for it, but then they told me that takeoff was at 4 a.m. and I live an hour away. So the reason for this impromptu ride along was to check on a backup airspeed indicator that had been giving us problems, and our ground set test that we use at the base wasn't picking up this problem. So we wanted to fly it and see if we could replicate the problem in air. So I reported at 2:30 a.m., very grumpy and tired. And after takeoff, I ran some quick ops checks and found out that the indicator itself was broken. So I was like, job done. Once we get back home, I'll replace it and everything will be good. But I still had the three-hour ride there and the 3-hour ride back to sit through. So I went in the back. Keep in mind, these jets were built in the 40s, so they're very loud. I put on my ear pro, my headset, and I took a nap. And as soon as I fell asleep, I get woken up by the co-pilot shaking me, saying, hey, there's something wrong with the autopilot. The autopilot stopped working. My first thought is, oh man, I'm in trouble because an officer just caught me sleeping on the job. But after I made my way up to the cockpit, I found a very visually irritated pilot that looked like he'd been in the Air Force longer than I'd been alive. So I figured I gotta get to work right away. So I start doing some ops checks, doing some stuff that I know is wrong, some stuff that happens to them. It's pretty common for them to break, and none of them seem to be the issue. So I, as a last resort, because this pilot's getting really angry because he doesn't want to fly a 6-hour flight manually. It's not very fun, especially not at 4 in the morning. So I pull the breaker and turn the whole system off and then restart it. And as it's reinitializing, all I can think of is all the paperwork and all the trouble I'm going to be in when I get back home. But miraculously, it was fixed when it turned back on. And the pilot was so happy that he stood up and hugged me. And the rest of the flight went really smoothly, and there was no other problems. When I got back home, I received a commendation from the wing commander a couple days later, all for just turning it off and turning it back on again. So